All right, guys. In this video, we're going to focus on what is called sampling techniques. And there are four basic type of sampling techniques that will be under study in this case. We use these sampling techniques to try our best to obtain the best representation in our sample to the population that is under study. Now, for each sample, I'm going to give you guys some sort of visual picture of how to apply it. Now, there are four. We call it random or sometimes simple random sampling, systematic sampling, stratified sampling, and the last one, what is cluster sampling. Let's look at random sample. A random sample states that each subject of the population must have an equal chance of being selected. So I'm going to draw my population. Say this circle right here is my population. Out of my population, I am going to choose 30 people at random. So out of population, I am choosing 30 people at random. After labeling each person in the population. So what that means is in our population, we're going to label each member of our population, preferably with some sort of number. And then at random, I'm going to choose 30. In this case, 30 people at random to be a part of my sample. That is random sampling. Everyone has an equal chance of being selected. Now, systematic. Taken by numbering each member of the population and then selecting every kth member where k is a natural number. Okay, I drew this diagram. Students in the class. There are 25 students in class. Now, to perform a systematic sampling, I'm going to say I want to choose every third person. I want to choose every third person. So that means I'm going to count by threes in order, and every third person that I get will be a part of my sample. 1, 2, 3. The third person there is a part of my sample. Keep going. 1, 2, 3. The sixth person is a part of my sample. Keep counting up by threes. 1, 2, 3. The ninth person is a part of my sample. And I continue that until I achieve my goal. So only 25 students in this class. So count by three again. 1, 2, 3. The 12th person. 1, 2, 3. The 15th. If you notice the pattern. Then it'll be the 18th person. The 21st person. And the 24th person. So those people are a part of my sample. So I hope that makes sense between sampling, random sampling, and systematic sampling. And you will know you're using systematic sampling because it will say select every third person, every fourth person, every fifth person, So keep that in mind. The next one we're going to move on to is stratified sampling. And stratified sampling occurs when a population is divided into groups where members of each group have similar characteristics and the members from each group are chosen at random. Okay, here's my population right here. I'm going to divide my population based on the level of year you are in school. I'm talking about in terms of undergraduate studies, of course. So divide it up. I have my freshmen, my sophomores, make that bigger, my juniors, and my seniors. So I divided my population, which is students at John Jay. Based on their level of school, freshmen, sophomore, junior, and seniors. When I divide my population based on those characteristics, I'm going to choose a certain amount of subjects from each group. I want to choose 50 freshmen. I will choose 50 sophomores. I'm going to choose 45 juniors. And I'm going to choose 55 seniors. The numbers don't have to be the same for every selection. So those 50 freshmen, 50 sophomores, 45 juniors, and 45 seniors will all be a part of my sample. That is what is called as stratified sampling. And last but not least, we're going to go to cluster sampling. Cluster sampling is an existing group of subjects that represents a population, and it is used for the sample. The population is divided according to subgroups, and a specific number of subgroups are selected using all members. Now, below, my population will be Math 108 sections for fall 2021. Let's say I want to run a study where I survey students who took Math 108 this fall, and here are the sections. There are about 42 sections. You guys are section 5, so you can see your section right there. And let's say what I'm going to do is, because if you notice, each section represents each class of Math 108. So there are 42 classes in total. At random, I'm going to choose 5 classes. So at random, I'm going to choose section 9, section 25, section 301, section 19, and for the sake of it, I'll choose section number 5. I am choosing those 5 sections at random. So we chose section 5, 9, 19, 25, and 301. Now, when I choose those 5 sections at random, all students in those sections are a part of the study, of my study. So when I choose those 5 classes, those 5 sections of Math 108, if you are in one of those 5 sections of Math 108, you are a part of the study. And that is an example of cluster sampling. So if you guys understand the 4 examples that I gave you for sampling, and try not to confuse stratified and cluster. Stratified is when you divide the population based on characteristics and you choose a specific number of people from each group, where cluster is dividing your population into groups, selecting certain groups at random, and the groups that you are choosing at random, you're using all subjects. So those are 2 different things. If you understand each of these examples that I provided you with for sampling, try to answer this question. Answer the following. So this is also on the PDF on Blackboard. So I'm going to zoom in, and you guys can try to answer the first two. All right. It says a host on a cruise ship wants to collect data on the time passengers spent in various activities on board. Which of the following best describes a cluster sample of passengers? Now remember, cluster sampling is to divide your population into groups, select a certain number of groups at random, and whoever's a part of those groups, all members of those groups will be a part of your sample. So the answer to this question will be the second option. That is an example of cluster sampling. The host formed 9 groups based on the passenger ages. He randomly chooses 6 of those 9 groups, and he selects all those passengers for his sample who are in those 6 groups that were selected. That's why the second one is the answer. B. A botanist at a nursery wants to inspect the health of plants at a nursery. Which of the following best describes stratified sample of plants? And the answer will be the last option. Once again, stratified sampling is to divide your population based on some sort of characteristic, and then you're going to choose a certain amount of subjects from each group. The last one, the botanist formed 5 groups of plants based on their ages in months. Then he selects 18 plants at random from each group. He divided the population into 5 groups, and then he selected 18 plants from each of those 5 groups. That is stratified sampling. And the last one says a city manager wants to poll the residents about a park renovation. Which of the following best describes systematic sample of residents? You're choosing every case value of a population to be a part of your sample, which means the answer will be the second one. Because it says the city manager takes a list of residents and selects every 3rd resident until 78 residents are selected. So if you're the 3rd resident, or the 6th resident, or the 9th resident, the 12th resident, counting up by 3s, you are a part of that sample. And that is it, the sampling method, guys. Hope that made sense. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you soon. Take care.